Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a paradigm shift that feels honestly almost impossible to overstate. We're talking about the AI coding revolution. We're going to trace a direct, fascinating line from a pivotal 15th century invention all the way to the imminent future of our daily professional lives. And by the end of this, you'll see exactly why the software you use, and actually, more importantly, who creates it, is about to change forever. Let's get into it.
Okay, so you might be asking yourself, what in the world does a dusty, wooden 15th century printing press have to do with cutting-edge artificial intelligence and the apps running on your smartphone? I know, it sounds like a bizarre connection, right? Well, according to Boris Cerny, the creator of Claude Code and a pretty central figure in modern AI, the answer is absolutely everything. To really grasp where AI is taking us tomorrow, we have to look at exactly what the printing press did way back in the 1450s. If we look back historically, monumental shifts in human progress don't just happen in a vacuum, They stack on top of one another. In the 1450s, the printing press arrives, right? That creates mass literacy. Now, without that widespread literacy, you absolutely could not have had the explosion of ideas we call the Renaissance. And without the scientific and cultural foundation of the Renaissance, no industrial revolutions. Today, AI software literacy is sitting right at the bottom of the next massive wave. It's the brand new foundation that the entire next era of human progress is going to be built on.
Think about the historical bottleneck of literacy for a second. Before the 1450s, reading and writing were highly specialized skills. They're restricted almost entirely to the elite. We're talking monks, scribes, scholars. If you wanted to record a thought or share a story, you literally had to go through them. Well, pre-AI coding is the exact same bottleneck. Up until literally right now, creating software has been locked away behind deep, specialized technical expertise. If you wanted an app built, you had to hire a technical developer. The power of creation was, for all intents and purposes, completely gatekept.
But then, the Gutenberg press arrives, and it absolutely shatters that gate. Get this, in just the 50 years after its introduction, there was more printed material produced in Europe than in the previous 1,000 years combined. 1,000 years! The cost of literature just plummeted. More and more people became literate. The sheer volume of human output just went totally parabolic.
And that brings us right back to AI today. Boris Cerny points out something super fascinating about where we are on this adoption curve right now. He notes that we're essentially somewhere in the 16 or 1700s of this new era. Everyone is going to become literate, and it's just going to be like reading and writing. He firmly establishes that we are in that crucial early phase of global coding literacy. The tools are officially here, and mass adoption is really just beginning to take root.
So the absolutely crucial point here is this. Just as the printing press caused a 1,000-year backlog of material to just explode into existence in 50 years, AI tools are about to do the exact same thing to software. The total amount of code in the world is going to multiply exponentially. Everyone is going to learn how to write code, but not by memorizing complex syntax like we used to. They'll do it by simply communicating with AI.
Of course, whenever we start talking about explosive technological shifts like this, the immediate reality check hits, doesn't it? You see the headlines, you hear the anxiety. You kind of have to ask, is this massive shift simply AI replacing what human software developers actually do? Are companies just going to swap out their expensive engineering teams for AI algorithms to do the exact same work? While the creators of this technology completely reframe that narrative. They argue that we really shouldn't think about AI as replacing what developers do, but rather replacing the tools they use. This distinction is vital. We need to shift our perspective from seeing AI as this terrifying sentient job killer into an empowering evolution of the instruments we use to build our world. Think about it like the physical world. Building a house used to require a manual hammer. It was slow, it took a ton of physical effort, and driving every single nail was just tedious. Then, boom, the automatic power tool was invented. The power tool didn't replace the goal of building a house, right? It just replaced the manual hammer. Coding with AI is exactly the same. It's a massive paradigm shift, moving from a slow, highly manual process to suddenly wielding a highly efficient, automated power tool. But here is where the analogy gets incredibly exciting. With traditional coding, wielding the manual hammer required years and years of specialized schooling. But today, because AI models are becoming so intuitive and easy to converse with, you no longer need to be a developer to wield the power tool. True democratization is happening right before our eyes. These immense capabilities are becoming directly accessible to absolutely everyone, completely regardless of their technical background.
And listen, this isn't just theory, it's already happening. At a recent hackathon for the Claude Office model, the winners weren't your typical Silicon Valley engineers. No way. We're talking about an electrician and a carpenter building custom software. They basically swapped a literal hammer for Python. A doctor built an app to completely automate complex medical workflows. A construction worker built a custom tool to navigate local zoning elements and speed up the permitting process. These are non-technical professionals building highly specific apps for their daily work. That's something they simply could not have done a year ago. It's wild.
So this amazing democratization naturally brings us back to the fate of the professional software developer. There's this famous essay by Andy Jones that compares developers to horses. He points out that when engine efficiency reached a certain point, the internal combustion engine made horses entirely obsolete, and the horse population in the US just fell off a cliff. So the provocative question is, are developers going the way of horses?
The answer is an emphatic no. In fact, we are facing a striking paradox. Over the next 3 to 5 years, the demand for software creation is actually predicted to multiply by 100 times. 100x increase in demand. We are going to need fewer people building software. We are going to need vastly more. Why? Because suddenly, every single niche problem in the world can be solved with a custom piece of software.
So how exactly do we reconcile 100x demand with democratized tools? Well, the reality is, everyone is going to become a developer. Cerny predicts that within just 1 year, anyone will be able to write code as well as top experts do today. Because of this extreme ubiquity, the exclusive professional title of software developer will likely just fade away entirely. It won't be a special job title anymore, kind of like how professional reader isn't a job title today. Former coding experts? They'll likely shift their roles to higher-level architecture, guiding and managing these AI systems rather than writing the lines of code themselves.
Okay, but let's pause for a second. It's super easy to get swept up in the excitement of a carpenter building an app. We really have to ground this narrative. When you suddenly hand a digital power tool to the entire world, you open the door to unprecedented, dangerous new risks. When everyone has access to these immense capabilities, we have to acknowledge the potential for massive damage if they fall into the wrong hands.
The most immediate challenge we face is cybersecurity. Because these AI models are getting incredibly good at writing code, it inherently means they are also becoming expert hackers. Cyber threats are a massive primary concern for the creators of this technology. Right now, there is an active, ongoing race to ensure that cyber defenders have a firm grip on this tech to secure our infrastructure before bad actors can leverage it. And because the landscape is shifting so incredibly fast, entirely new societal institutions are desperately needed just to make sense of and manage this sudden literacy boom.
So who manages all of this? As Cerny points out, this isn't a problem a single tech company can solve. The conversation is just way far bigger than that. Tech companies cannot manage this profound societal shift alone. It's a huge moral responsibility. But ensuring AI safety isn't something that can just be patched with a software update from one corporation. It requires all of us, collectively as a society, to actively discuss and build the guardrails.
So what should you really take away from this explainer today? Well, we are literally living in the 1450s of the digital age. The printing press has been built, the power tools are sitting right there in your hands, and the old gatekeepers, they're gone. I want to leave you with this final provocative thought to chew on. When everyone in the world is essentially a coder, how will you use your new literacy to change your daily work? And maybe more importantly, are we as a society truly ready for the massive responsibility that comes with that power? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep learning, keep questioning, and I'll see you next time.